Happy October 8th, everyone. We're glad to have you with us for another virtual wine tasting. Joining us this evening is Mick Wilson, co-owner of Wilson Wineries from Temecula. Welcome, Mick.
Well, thanks. Good to be here.
I have really been enjoying learning about Temecula wines as we've celebrated, along with you, Temecula Valley Wine Month. We've had to push you for scheduling reasons a little bit into October, but we still are looking forward to this. I want to learn a little bit more about you, about your winery, and how everything came to be. But first, let's pour a little bit of wine and get started.
I love it. You got to start with wine to prime the pump.
Yes, you do. We're starting out with the Tank 15, which you said was a Zinfandel?
Yeah, Take 15 Estate Zinfandel from Wilson Creek. And the reason we came up with this name is back in the day when we bought the property in 1996, we were originally from South Pasadena, moved down to Temecula as a family. We went all in and bought the 20-acre property, and it was planted with partially Zinfandel. And when we first had one of our first harvests, we had to hire an outside vineyard company because we didn't have all the infrastructure at the time. And when we were ready to pick this Zin, we were the low man on the totem pole. So we were pushed off with this, the bricks, or the amount of sugar in the grape was about 23, 24, ready to pick. And he said, sorry, we can't make it until 1 week or 2 weeks later. So we could lose our crop. So the bricks go up to 25, 26, 27, 28, you're hurting. So about 26, 27 bricks, he finally comes out, picks the grapes, we ferment it at 17% alcohol. We stored it in Tank 15, and word got out from the staff to the staff that something special is in that tank. And they kept on coming after work, and there's a little tap on the tanks, and they would tap in and pour a glass and another glass, another glass. We went through a lot of losses because of the staff drinking out of Tank 15 Zin. So every time we make a really powerful Zin, kind of a rarity. This one's at 16.7%. We call it Take 15 Zin. We also have our reserve Zin, but the alcohol is high. We have hot days and cool nights. The hot days bring high alcohol, and the cool nights balance the acidity.
No, yeah.
Okay. And so this is a 2018.
Yes. And what's nice about a Zin is it's got that plum, it's got that red fruit, it's got some dark fruit, it's got the cherry, raisiny aromas to it. The alcohol is super high, and you can tell the alcohol when you swirl the glass. You can see those legs or tears coming down. They look kind of like church windows, and the tighter those church windows are, the higher the alcohol. Another way you can test alcohol is you take a little sip and you breathe. After you swallow, quickly breathe backwards. And if those fumes kind of hit the throat and it burns a little bit, it's hot. That means it's high alcohol. So you just take a little sip.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, I'm feeling that right back there. 16.7 on alcohol. It's a big Zin.
That is. Now, I think about drinking Zin when we're barbecuing, something on the grill. I mean, that just seems to be the time that it cries out for Zinfandel. Do you have any other suggestions on when Zinfandel might be just the perfect choice?
I think this is a cocktail wine, meaning we differentiate between a cocktail and a condiment wine. A cocktail wine, like you drink a cocktail on its own. You don't pair, a gin and tonic with food. You do it on its own. A condiment, you don't eat a condiment on its own. You don't eat mustard or ketchup. It's always meant with food. Typically, the old world wines or the French wines are made more of a condiment wine. They're meant to pair with food. Some of the American wines with big alcohol like this with Zin, many times it's better just on its own, sitting outside on a back patio on a cool evening like now. It's just one of those wines you just savor. Anything off the grill, though, it would need to be some grill marks on it, some tri-tip, some fillet, something big off the grill. Otherwise, this cocktail wine is going to overpower the food.
Right.
Yeah. So Americans, our wines are big. Hear me roar. The analogy I use is American wine is kind of like a Shelby Cobra. It's just powerful. Hear me roar. European wines are going to be more like I'm trying to think of a Bentley, very classic, very nuanced. And this one is a Shelby Cobra. This one is just big and gnarly and a good cocktail wine.
Well, and I know that people on the Zoom today are all of the age bracket where they understand exactly what the Shelby Cobra reference means. So, well, we enjoyed this wine, and our friends enjoy whatever they happen to be drinking. Tell us about how'd you get into this crazy wine business?
Oh, geez.
I did a little.
We're a family originally from the Midwest, from Minnesota. We all moved to California in the 60s, and we had a crazy idea. At the time, we lived in South Pasadena, little suburbia area, city of about 25,000 people. In South Pasadena, our home was kind of the iconic hospitality center of the city. It's where the youth gathered. We had a lot of parties there. It's where we had people who didn't have a home or family would have, holiday dinners with us. It was kind of the place where people felt welcome. Well, when all the kids moved out, there were 3 kids that my parents were thinking about relocating up to Santa Barbara area, Santa Ynez, retiring, buying a little vineyard. Well, my brother had a friend who had visited Temecula, and he called my brother Bill, who's the CEO, and he said, "Hey, Bill, there's a winery for sale in Temecula. You should check it out." And my brother just had this, something clicked with him. So he called my parents after he went to check out the winery. He called my parents and said, "Hey, you want to buy a winery?" And my mom said, "Hey, are you nuts? We've never made wine." My parents made rhubarb and dandelion wine in their basement in Minnesota. That's the only qualification. So my brother called me, "Hey, you want to check out a winery?" It's like, winery? I'm an ordained minister. He said, "Yeah, that was Jesus' first miracle. Remember turning water into wine?" So as a family, we all went to check out this little winery in Temecula. Never heard of the place. We drive down and we were really excited to look at this. We decided to go for it and go all in as a family. My parents sold the house in South Pasadena we lived in for 25 years. And at the last minute, the owner of the winery backed out of the deal. And so we were kind of heartbroken, but yet we found a realtor in the area who found a 20-acre vineyard that was pretty far remote from the last winery at the time. There were 14 wineries. We were the 15th, but it's all we can afford at the time. So we bought a 20-acre vineyard in 1996. And my parents moved down, my brother moved down, my sister moved down, I moved down in 99. And we built the tasting room, took us a while, and we eventually opened up in 2000. And we just decided just to do this as a family for fun, for a change of lifestyle. I lived on the property in a single wide mobile with slide outs. My brother lived in a double wide. My parents still live in a triple wide on top of the hill, which is kind of fun. And I think we bring that Midwest community hospitality vibe to Temecula Valley. My dad says it well. He said, "I think we're the first part of the second wave of wineries." As I mentioned, we're the 15th winery. I think we are the one that really started, in a sense, people coming out and having a wine experience, not just tasting the wines and buying the wines, but experiencing wine country, the tours, the lunches, the dinners, the balloons, all that. So people come out to Wilson Creek just to hang out, get a glass of wine, people watch. And that's kind of what we've become. And so when we opened up in 2000, we expected about 5,000 cases a year production in 5 years. We built 2 small little bathrooms and 40 parking spaces. And we just started growing like crazy. So eventually we had to expand. In 2007, we expanded, built a whole event facility and production area, more debt. And then now we're celebrating our 20th anniversary next week and my mom's 90th birthday.
Oh.
My dad is 90 as well.
Now, are they still involved in any way, or are they comfortably retired and enjoying looking at you guys do it?
Yeah, they're comfortably retired. My dad says the kids do all the work and he gets all the credit, as it should be.
Good for him.
But they come down to the winery. We have got a restaurant there called the Creekside Grill. They come down and they are icons in the valley. People just love them. They're so genuine, down to earth, approachable, and people just gravitate toward them. Put it this way, with our wine club for my mom's birthday and the anniversary, we opened it up for this outside social distancing dinner, and it sold out 500 tickets in an hour because people just want to come into Wilson Creek and also to honor my mom and my dad. And so we added another night and that sold out as well. So we have 2 nights celebrating my mom's birthday and the anniversary, which is kind of fun.
Oh, how nice. Well, we're going to have to talk about the elephant in the room, which is, of course, COVID and how that has really crush so many businesses and industries. But I think in order to do that, we're going to have to taste the next wine. So from here, we are moving on to your 2017 Petite Syrah. So get us started on this, and then we'll go back and talk about how things have changed for you.
Petite Syrah is a wine originally from the Rhone Valley. It used to be called Durif, B-U-R-I-F. I'm glad they changed the name to Petite Syrah. It's because it's a combination of Peloursin grape and Syrah, and they call it Petite Syrah because the harvest of this is typically a smaller, more petite harvest. But the grape packs a punch. It is anything but petite. This is a big red. It's our best seller. It sells for, not our best seller, it's our most expensive wine. It sells for about 75 bucks a bottle, but this is just a gorgeous red. Ooh, this would be another cocktail wine. I know, I'm telling you,
wow. That finish is lovely.
Yeah, the finish hangs out with you for a long time.
Long time.
And so yeah, beautiful red. If people come to Temecula, it's funny because when they used to visit 10 years ago, they go, Temecula wines, yeah, they're okay. Well, they visit now, and the wineries are vineyard management throughout the valley, and the winemaking throughout the valley is just exploded with expertise. And so people come down, yeah, I know Temecula wines, they're not all that great. It's like, here, taste it. Nah, I'm good. No, taste it.
Oh,
they taste it and they go, what happened? It's like vineyard management happened. Good winemaking happened. Really taking advantage of our soil, which is called sandy loam, happened. And planting the right varietals happened. And this is one of the varietals that thrives in Temecula Valley. So I got to take another sip before we talk to COVID.
Oh yeah, we all do.
I'm done with masks. Anyone done with masks? I'm done with masks. We should have a mask burning party one of these days. But when COVID hit, we were on record to have one of our best years. And then of course, COVID hit and we were shut down for approximately 3 months. We used those times. I was painting and staining barrels and doing all kinds of work on the property. We furloughed, we didn't fire any employees. We have about 275 staff and just managing that whole process. And when we were slowly allowed to open back up, people just started flooding. And what we had to do is obviously control the crowd. So we do the temperature check. We have social distancing at our bars. We have numerous outside bars. Before COVID hit, we had 450 linear feet of bar space, which is crazy. We started out with one 20-foot bar, and now we have 450 feet, but we can't use those indoors. Yeah. So we set up a lot of outdoor bars with misters and in the shade, and people just kept coming and kept coming, which is great. The funny thing is, and some people like freak out about this, or some of the wine snobs, is the thing that brought us through COVID was wine slushies. Yes, wine slushies. We have these margarita machines, and now we have 14 of them, and we use it with our sparkling wine. So we have sparkling wine slushies. We have a sangria sparkling wine, peach sparkling wine. We do a swirl, then we put a red wine float on top of it with a 24-ounce cup. And those things sell like crazy. And people came out to support us and get the slushies and buy wine by the glass so they can just get out of the house, one, but also to support a local business.
Well, and with your hot weather, that slushie must be really refreshing.
Really, yeah, it got really hot here the last few weeks, over 100 degrees. The grapes started raisinine, which we were worried we were going to lose the crop, but the raisin actually dehydrated some of the clusters, which brought up that Brix, the sugar content. And some of our reds this year, especially our Cabernet Sauvignon, will be astonishing because of that raisinine. They're going to be much more intense.
So any tips on how we can make that slushie at home? Because I'm guessing not many of us have a snow cone machine.
Some people have tried, but it's something about the margarita machine that does it to where it's very fine ice. If you do it, people try to do it at home in a blender. It just doesn't, it's just not the same. I don't know, but basically you take a bottle of our sparkling wine and you pour it in a blender, put some ice in there, of course. And if you want to sweeten it up, add a little Sprite in there, hit blend, and then pour it in a glass and do a little red wine float on top of it. And you want a big straw, obviously a wide straw, in order to get it all. But
Suck up the ice.
I think last Saturday we sold over 2,000 slushies.
Wow.
Crazy. Yeah. It's fun. So some of the wine purists are like, slushies, you guys are kidding me. It's like, well, that's the Southern California wine taster. We have wine tasters who are going for those high-end wines, and we got a lot of people that just want to come out and have fun, and we appeal to both. Wilson Creek is considered the fun winery. We used to be the party winery.
Oh.
We backed off on that, and now we're the fun winery. Got to rebrand that, right? Yeah.
Well, okay, so Tony, I think we should try that, the slushy sparkling. He's muted tonight. He normally is participating. We were having some feedback issues, so he's relegated to the chat. We do have a question here. So is it starting to get cool at night yet, or is it still pretty warm?
Oh, the nights are gorgeous right now. It's starting to get cool, which is beautiful. Today, the high was about 80. Tomorrow, the high is going to be 77. And the nights here are in the 60s, which is just beautiful. Next week is going to go back up to the 90s again. But what you want in any kind of wine region, there's a little bit of backstory here. There's a term called terroir, Terroir. That means the sense of place. When you taste a wine, you can discern where it's from, that terroir. What's the soil like, the winemaking history, the climate, the aspect of the vineyard, where it's facing, etc. Temecula has hot days and cool nights. If you have hot days and hot nights, you're not going to get that coolness in the evening that balances the acidity. The hotness, like Florida, will just burn out the grape and the sugar completely. You want the balance. It's called a diurnal shift, the difference between the daytime temperature and the nighttime temperature. Temecula has big diurnal shifts, which is great for growing grapes. So yeah, the heat is coming back, but we're getting into the fall. The leaves are changing color, and the fall here is just beautiful. The orange and the burgundy leaves, it is a lot of just gorgeous. Photographers just love it here.
So how many acres of wine do you now have?
Right now we have 90 acres, 67 planted, and then we harvest or farm and oversee another 100 acres close by Wilson Creek. And we're in the farming business as well. And collectively in Temecula Valley, we have about 2,500 planted acres. It's a relatively small valley because of a gap in the mountains, which is over your shoulder. You can see a gap there called the Rainbow Gap. 23 miles as a crow flies is San Juan Capistrano, San Clemente, and the wind comes west to east and it settles in this little pocket in Temecula Valley. It's great for growing citrus and grapes. And if you go 10 miles north, south, east, or west, you can't grow a grape because it's too hot. But that ocean breeze just brings this wonderful little pocket of heaven on earth for wine. And that's why Temecula Valley is one of the most popular wine regions in all of Southern California.
So are your wines all estate grown grapes?
The wines are estate except for our sparkling wine, which we don't have enough vineyards to do the sparkling wine. So the sparkling wine grapes are up from the Sierra foothills area, and that's where we get those. Because we do about 30,000 cases of still wine or just regular wine, and sparkling wine we do about 80,000 cases.
So we're not tasting a sparkling tonight, but tell us about that one.
Well, the sparkling wine, you guys had that class on Prosecco. The sparkling wine that we do here is the Prosecco style, which is the tank style. The second fermentation happens in the tank, not in the bottle. In the bottle, it's called the traditional method or méthode champenoise. And if it's from Champagne, it's méthode champenoise. And I love Champagne. It's one of my favorite in the entire world. But something about the tank method retains a lot of that fruit and liveliness. When you put it through the secondary fermentation in the bottle, the méthode champenoise, it has more of that yeastiness, the doughiness, because the lees or the dead yeast cells sit in there for a while, and you want that to get that doughiness and that yeastiness and that bready smell that is so wonderful. But with the sparkling wine and the tank method, It's cheaper because you're not using these individual bottles, and it retains a lot of that fruit. It's extremely popular. As a matter of fact, Prosecco, Italy just outsold a couple years ago France, and they were so excited. It was like they won a World Cup in soccer, that they outsold the French, who are known for their sparkling wines. So we do the tank method, very approachable, very affordable. Our sparkling wines, we've got 9 different flavors. The first one that put us on the map is our almond sparkling wine. Then we came up with a peach Bellini, a yuzu lemon. We have a sangria. We have a coconut nui, the coconut we got from Tahiti. We've got, boy, I can keep on going. We've also got, try to think here. We've got a vanilla, and the list goes on. People love our sparkling wine, but they're shocked when they come to the winery to find out that our still wines, our reds and our whites, are award winning, and they're blowing some people away.
Well, I can see how those sparkling flavors would be very fun for slushies.
Yes, and it just adds that zest to it.
Sure.
And people they come out and they just relax. And that's the whole point, is that you want a place where you can just breathe, just relax, right? Just exhale, just get away. And we have this massive courtyard that we can seat about 250 people, social distance actually. We have a creek running through the property. That's why we call it Wilson Creek. And people, it's a destination where people come and hang out. It's known as the most popular winery in Southern California, which is an honor.
Well, I looked at the website and have looked at a lot of your photos there. Are you one of the largest winery in Temecula? And I guess not necessarily largest by production, but largest in terms of facility?
The largest facility would be one of the originals, which would be Callaway. You've probably heard of the Callaway golf clubs. They're big. There's some other ones, South Coast, which has a beautiful spa and resort, and they make some amazing wines as well. Another big one is called Ponte. They've got some beautiful wines. We're in the top 3, Wilson Creek. And just when people visit Temecula, they'll give some options on where to go to, and typically Wilson Creek is up there in the suggestions. It's funny. People come to Temecula, they'll visit Wilson Creek because we're kind of near the end of Fraternity Row, so to speak. And then they'll visit a couple other wineries and they go, okay, this is nice. And then they'll come back to Wilson Creek and get a bottle and sit outside and again, exhale. Because that's what you want, a wine taste experience, and to check out other wineries. But there's a point where you go, okay, I'm good. Let's just go hang out and let's people watch.
Right. Well, before we go on to our third wine, are there any questions for Mick? Okay, let's Vicky's smiling. Does that mean yes, or does that mean you'll wait until we go to our next wine?
I'm like just so excited to go and visit there.
Okay.
I can't stand it.
You guys are going to Southern California when?
We leave here on November 10th and we'll be there a week. So
perfect. Well, let's queue up the next wine that you have for us, and then give Vicki and anyone else who might be wanting to make a sojourn to SoCal some tips on how to enjoy Temecula.
Sure. This right here is our Meritage wine. And what's fun on the label is you can see these are the pictures of my parents, Rosie and Jerry Wilson. And I got the idea from Opus One label, where they have Robert Mondavi and Philippe Rothschild back to back. And I thought, what can we do a label to honor my parents and do it face to face? And that's why we came up with what we used to call Legacy, until we got a little letter from another wine company that said, cease and desist, you can't call it that. It's like, oh man. So it's a Meritage, which is a combination of merit and heritage. They smush those together. It's an American term for a Bordeaux varietal combination. You have to have at least 2 of the big Bordeaux grapes, which are Cabernet Franc, Petit Verdot, Malbec, and Merlot. And this has all those in there. So people say, can I have a Meritage? Yeah. You don't correct them and say, no, it's Meritage, but it is a Meritage. And so we can't use it.
Yeah, I made that mistake several times, and then several years ago I was gently corrected, and now I remember.
And we can't use any American terms, any European terms on American labels with an agreement we had with the EU back in '05. So that's why we can't call it Champagne, because that's a region. We can't call it Bordeaux, it's a region. We can't call it Port, that's a region, or Porto, Portugal. You know, we used to have the box wine called Burgundy, and that's one of the most famous red and white regions in the world, you know, $4,000 bottles of Pinot Noir. And the Europeans said, we're done, you can't do that.
Yeah.
So we had to come up with these names to replace Bordeaux, and Meritage is an American made-up term to replace a Bordeaux blend. Yeah, so this would be more of a condiment wine that would go well with food. And by the way, I saw Kathy from Oak Mountain that did a really good wine 101 on how to taste wine. For me, I'm a certified sommelier as well, and I've narrowed it down to kind of 3 steps to help people: eyes, nose, mouth, see, smell, slurp. You first look at the wine, you put it against a white background, the yellow one here, but you put it against a background, you look down at the wine, you can tell the thickness or viscosity of it. You pair foods with the weight or thickness of the wine, a weighty wine with a weighty food, a light wine with light food. And so you look at it, you can tell the age of the wine. A younger wine is going to be more ruby, an older wine is more garnet color. A bad wine is going to be brown, of course. You smell the wine. 80% of wine tasting is right there. You smell the wine, and you want to swirl it and open it up. It's like stepping on bubble wrap. It just releases those flavor packets in there. The oxygen does. Swirl it, and then you taste it and slurp it. You breathe backwards through the wine like sucking up a wet spaghetti noodle. It makes a funky sound. And what that does, it lets the wine dance all over the palate, get all over your taste buds. At the sides of your tongue are watering. That means it has relatively medium to high acidity, which also means it's good with food as well. And then you take another taste. The second taste is really kind of when you pay more attention. And you start thinking, okay, what are the fruits in this? Is it a red fruit or dark fruit? Dark fruit's going to be your blueberry, blackberry. Red fruit is your cherry, raspberry, etc. And then you start thinking, what are those secondary flavors that come from the barrel? Your coconut, your vanilla, nutmeg, things like that. All these wines that we're tasting are in both American and French oak. Each barrel comes from a different appellation, and that oak has different nuances or flavors it imparts to the wine. The barrels are like the spice cabinet for a chef. He or she will take the base wine, and then they'll put this little spice or this little spice depending on what barrels they store the wine in. So this is both American and French oaks. You're going to get vanilla, vanilla bean. You're going to get coconut and nutmeg on the secondary flavor, which is from the barrel. That's a lot of fun.
What was that second term?
Oh, the
Okay.
beautiful, yeah.
I get some. I can get the nutmeg. I'm not. There are just some flavors I cannot taste, and I don't know how to improve or if I can improve my tasteability for certain flavors. Like Tony can always pick up the black cherry and the cherry flavors. I never can, but I can always spot the stone fruit.
Now this is kind of fun. This might be freeing for your listeners. Sommeliers used to pair wine to the food, which is obviously that's pretty key. But I'm learning to pair wine to the person, because every person has a different palate and different genetic makeup. There's a book out there called Why You Like the Wines You Like. And the premise of it is that everybody has a certain amount of taste buds on your tongue. They actually take those little stickers, you know, those 3-ring binder papers. When you break one, you put a little sticker there. They put those on your tongue, put some blue dye, take it off and take a picture of how many taste buds are on that little sticker there. And people who have more taste buds are called super tasters. And super tasters don't like the bitterness in some of these big red wines. They need more residual sugar. They need more sweetness. They're the people, when they go to Starbucks, they're going to get the coffee and add the cream and the sugar and all that stuff into it because their palate needs that. I'm not a super taster. I'm an average taster. And so I need some of that going on. So you're going to have some people that are going to really smell all these different levels and taste all these different levels. They're super tasters. And they like sweet wines, which totally goes against the adage of true wine drinkers are going to start with sweet, white, and then go to big reds. Not necessarily. If you're a super taster, you're not going to like the big reds. You're going to go to the sweets and therefore be free. You like the wines you like because you're genetically wired to like those wines.
So can we train, or maybe train's not the right word, can we teach our palate to notice certain things, or is it genetic?
What I had both. What I had to do for my sommelier exam is your brain has a 50-year memory on smells. So what I had to do is go to stores, and it probably looked kind of weird. I just start picking up fruit and smelling it pre-COVID. All right. Smell this and smell that, and spices. I had a whole rack of spices in my office, and smell that. I would smell bell pepper to smell similar characteristics in Cabernet Sauvignon and Cabernet Franc. And you start getting those smells in your memory again. And then when you taste a wine again, you go, oh, I recognize that smell, because you're reloading your memory with the smells.
Familiarity.
Familiarity. So a suggestion is just go to the store and start smelling stuff. You take a spice out of your cabinet, cinnamon, smell it again, vanilla, smell it again. And you'd be surprised at how much you really are gifted in the nose, this little postage size stamp up here called olfactory epithelium. We have powerful smell, not as good as dogs, but we got good smell. But if we train our mind on how to distinguish that based on getting those smells in our head again, you'd be amazed at what you can pull out of a wine.
Now, I've thought about the WSET program, and it's really just a matter of time and all of that kind of stuff. So does that help train you to recognize things, or do you think it's a worthwhile process for someone who's just a novice enjoyer of wine?
You were mentioning the WSET?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Wine and Spirits Education Trust. I also did that as well, level 2. I do those things just because they're fun. I want to learn. I want to be stretched. I'm a guy that needs kind of a goal line, a goalpost to go to. WSET is fun because it's the first 2 levels are really wine knowledge, and they have flashcards online and all that stuff. The 3rd level is more wine pairing and wine knowledge as well. But I think it's worth checking out WSET. I wouldn't go the sommelier route unless you're in the industry and working in a restaurant. Wine Spectator actually has some really good online things for just lay people as well, which are really good. You can get certifications from Wine Spectator. But yeah, some of those professional certifications are good if you're in the industry. I would check out Wine Spectator. Another great website I like is called Wine Folly.
Yes, I'm familiar with it.
Madeline Pouquet is just incredible sommelier as well. She is as well, like I'm incredible. What she does on how to taste, how, all the different stuff, she's just amazing.
Don't they have a book coming out soon, or maybe
it's out. It's out.
Okay.
It's already, I think it's on the bestseller list. It's called, I think, Wine Folly.
Okay.
But the other thing to do is visit. This is some homework for your guests here. Visit as many wineries as you can.
Uh-huh.
And when you go to these wineries, you taste the wines and you ask the person there, why does this taste this way? And you just learn. For the first 5 years in this business, 10 years, I would just go to wineries and visit and just ask questions, and you start learning. And we host wine cruises every year, river cruises in Europe. We've been doing that. I think this next year will be our 9th year. Unfortunately, this year was canceled. And going through all these European wine regions and tasting the wines and talking to the winery owners and asking, why does this Riesling from the Mosel Valley taste this way? And you all of a sudden you go, oh, so you taste it again, you go, that's why. And you can smell a wine. If you line up all these Rieslings, you pick out the Mosel Riesling because you've been there, you've tasted, you've got that memory and implanted in the brain.
So asking those kinds of questions when we come to visit doesn't make us an annoying guest.
No, in matter of fact, wine servers want those questions. We assume when people walk into our doors, they really don't know much. Most people who walk into wineries are kind of insecure. They don't want to be exposed. I'm one of those as well, kind of like, Anyway, you walk in and you just ask questions, and the wine servers just love that. And they'll ask you questions. You get this conversation, you develop a relationship, you come back and you have your favorite server. But travel up and down California. Go to Santa Barbara if you're in California. Go to Napa, Sonoma. Go up to Oregon, Willamette Valley, Washington. anytime you have a chance, visit wineries. Another one is just go to a store and get for example, Pinot Noir, get a tasting party, get a Pinot Noir from Burgundy, get one from New Zealand, get one from Northern California, get one from Santa Barbara region, get one from Willamette Valley, and taste them out and have a discussion. Why does this Willamette Valley, why is it leaner? Why is it more cherry versus this one over here? And it's just so fun.
I love blind tastings with friends, because sometimes the snob appeal of what might be an expensive bottle of wine clouds the reality of tasting. And so it's always fun to do it blind. So you're really picking what you like, not what you want other people to think you like.
Exactly. And it's funny how people, if they were told this is an expensive wine, they have a brown bag wrapped around it and tape, people go, oh, that must be better.
Yeah.
It's interesting how people gravitate to different wines without the price tag. And that's another fun thing with your neighbors. Just say, okay, everyone go out and get a Cabernet between $10 and $25 and bring it to my house, whatever. And you just lay them all out, you brown bag them. And what's kind of fun, you want to throw in there kind of a $2 chuck, kind of a cheapo, and throw in there a pricey one. And people can chip in $5 or whatever. And you have so much fun tasting these wines. And all of a sudden you do the reveal and it's really fun. And then the conversations start and then the laughter starts. It's so fun.
Well, as we're wrapping up, Vicki and Ed are going to be down there in November. Do you have some tips for them about spending time in Temecula?
Yes, Old Town Temecula is a lot of fun. Pechanga is the largest casino in California. That's fun. When you come wine tasting, there are now 45 wineries, and there are so many good wines out there. Obviously, come by Wilson Creek. I'm a little biased. There's small little places, one called Palumbo that I really like that has some really high-level wines. As I mentioned, Ponte, South Coast are nice. Thornton has great sparkling wines that they make in the Methode Champenois style. They have a new big winery that just started called Europa Village. It has some really good wines. And you'll be surprised there's two parallel wine trails in Temecula. One is Rancho California Road. The other one is De Portola. And both those wine trails have astonishing wines. And just go try them out. And you'll be amazed at how different the wines are. But you also sense some similarities in the Temecula wines. Higher alcohol, a little bit more power. And people are planting Rhone grapes, Bordeaux grapes. They're planting Italian grapes, Tempranillo, Nebbiolo. So it's a lot of fun. And I would also suggest if you come to the Valley, spend the night. Don't just do it in a day. Spend a couple nights. The hotel business here is booming. It's really kind of a stay and play place right now. There's 5 golf courses in the area that are actually gorgeous golf courses. The best one is at Pechanga called Journey. Hot air ballooning, horseback riding and wine tasting, bike riding. It's got it all here, which is kind of fun. And you're an hour from San Diego, hour and a half from LA, hour from Orange County, hour from Riverside, hour from Palm Springs. So we're kind of right in the middle of all that. So it really is a destination place.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah.
Here's a question. Okay, this year it didn't happen, but what cruise companies or lines are you working with for your wine cruises?
We go with AMA Waterways, AMA, and they're kind of they're kind of, I would say, the Nordstrom of European river cruises. We're friends with the owners.
Christine and Rudy?
Yeah, Christine, exactly. They're awesome.
Yes, they are. Yes.
You know them. And we've hosted wine cruises. This next year will be our 9th year. Boy, we've done Portugal, Bordeaux, Rhine, Rhone. This Rhone trip will be our 3rd. Love the Rhone. Danube. The one we had this last year that was canceled was on the Danube with their double wide ship called the Ama Magna. If you want to go with us next year, go online at wilsoncreekwinery.com and you can check out the cruise that we're doing on the Rhone. We start out in Burgundy, then end up in Lyon, and then cruise the Rhone, Northern Rhone, where Syrah is king, down through the Southern Rhone, where you got Grenache, Mourvedre, Châteauneuf-du-Pape. We end up in Avignon, and then there's an extension possibly, if you want, over to Barcelona. So I'm a little biased. I think they're the best.
They do a great job. We did a barge cruise through Burgundy last year, and great fun. I mean, we've done river and ocean cruising, but barging is totally different. and you're into smaller areas. We learned so much
Right?
by
Yeah.
wine tasting there. It was amazing. So
And what's fun about that is we're able to ship around 20 cases of our wine on board. So I'll do some onboard wine seminars as we're cruising on the river, looking at castles. It's awesome. We'll do a red wine class, a white wine class, sparkling wine class. We do a wine pair dinner with our wines, but then you're contrasting these American wines to the European wines that you taste when you're there. And people kind of, oh, I get the difference between old world and new world.
What a great way to learn.
Yeah, yeah.
Plus you're in a wonderful environment. Rudy and Christine have done a great job of building the business and their itineraries. So they're terrific people. All right, I don't want to keep everyone longer than we promised. I really do try to bring this in at 45 minutes. But before I tell you about Mick's offer, are there any questions? I'll check the chat here. No, I think that's it. Mick has got a special offer for anyone who is ordering as a result of this virtual tasting, a 20% discount. Is there a special promo code that they need to use? Or?
Yeah. When you go on our website, wilsoncreekwinery.com, enter Mary Jo. That's your promo code, Mary Jo.
That's easy.
Yeah,
you all know how to spell that.
And also too, if you're interested in more of the history here, there's a little book that I wrote here. It's the Wilson Creek story. You can get this at the winery. You can get it at Amazon. It's kind of fun. It's a kind of a picture book that has kind of the whole story of the winery and how we started. You could check that out. But come out.
It was a great story. It really helped get me ready for tonight. So
good. And meet the family when you come out. We've got golden retrievers here. Wilsons are here. We're truly a family winery. Got to meet my parents if you can, Rosie and Jerry Wilson. Have lunch in the grill, wine taste. Right now, we're almost done with harvest. We've had a really, really good harvest. And it is just, there's energy in the air right now because even though COVID's going on, people are still coming out. We're being responsible. We're keeping the bar high on safety. And we're pivoting a little bit. We used to have this very popular Sunday brunch, but we can't really do brunch anymore. So it's kind of more of a fixed menu, and that has actually increased in popularity as well. So come and check it out.
Go ahead.
Mick, so the website says reservations aren't required to come and do a tasting, correct?
Correct.
And also, I didn't see the Meritage on your website. Did I just overlook that, or should it be there?
This Meritage, I will
Meritage.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Meritage works. It works. Yeah, I'll double check on this. I don't know if this is released yet here, or no, this is 17. Yeah, or if it's sold out. I will double check on that. I'll make sure if it's ready to go. It's on the site. I know it is for sale in the tasting room.
Okay, thank you.
And
over 30 different wines, yeah, so it can get crazy.
And Mick and the Wilson Creek family are generously giving away a complimentary wine tasting for up to 4 people. So we'll get that information out in the follow-up email, which I usually get out within a couple of hours of our session, wrapping it up.
For those country fans out there, we do a lot of country concerts here with some big names. They'll play in LA, then they go to Phoenix and they swing by Wilson Creek for a night and do a smaller show. Smaller is about 1,700 people. So if you're a country fan, keep your eye on the website for next year. We had a whole lineup this year that we had to cancel. But boy, we throw some big, fun country concerts here that are a kick. And it's more of the pop rock country versus the twangy country, if you know what I mean.
So
yeah, we have Trace Atkins,
who aren't local. What's the hotel situation? Is there someplace close by so we don't have to be driving back to the city?
Most of the hotels in Temecula, they're going to be 10 minutes from wine country, Embassy Suites, Hampton Inn. There's also a lot of good vacation rentals in the area as well. We have one across the street that we own called the Wilson Creek Manor that has 10 bedrooms, about 12,000 square feet. And they rent out the whole thing for weddings and for corporate events and stuff like that, which is also fun. But there's a lot of hotels in the area. If you can't find anything in Temecula, Murrieta is the city closest to us. And then of course, San Diego, Escondido, but you should be okay in Temecula. The hotels are just booming here.
Over here.
Yeah. Just,
Perfect.
yeah. Just check out TripAdvisor and you'll find the top hotels in the area. And there's
Great.
also some in wine country as well. As I mentioned, ours across the street. South Coast has a hotel and they have some individual villas. Ponte has a hotel. Europa Village has a bed and breakfast. A lot of stuff going on. Turon has a bed and breakfast. So there's a lot of places in wine country at wineries, which is fun.
That sounds like a great getaway weekend for someone just wanting to escape and have a great time.
Yes, yes.
Well, thank you everyone for being with us this evening. This is our last virtual wine tasting of the year. I am writing a book. I never thought I'd actually say that. And I've got a deadline with my publisher of December 1. So it's going to be nose to the grindstone with no time for wine tasting. And then we'll be into the holidays. So we'll pick back up after the first of the year. Thank you all for joining us. And thank you, Mick, for sharing your wine with us.
My
Can't
pleasure.
wait till we can finally make it down to Temecula.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you, Mick.
Thank you
Good
guys.
night, everyone.
Appreciate it.
Good night.
All right.